Hello, my friend. If you are one that has struggled to try to make yourself be good on a diet or just like white knuckle and try to just hurry up and like let's get through this phase of the diet and you just don't like dieting and dieting means food is going to be yucky and you have to do all these things, you have to suffer, and what is the point of it all? I made this video just for you because I've had a journey of my own and I don't want you to miss the gift that comes with the suffering that goes with dieting. So fast forward to the end. Do we have to suffer with a diet? Not necessarily. And once I talk about the gift in the suffering part of the diet, so you can at least appreciate that phase, then we can talk about shortening it as much as possible and some alternatives that can help shape and change your perspective. So I do want to talk about, I was able to identify 20 different benefits of the hard and sucky or gross part of dieting, the part that none of us want. And so let's receive the gift. Oops. And then we can move on. So the premise is there is value in sitting with the uncomfortable. So dieting is uncomfortable. Sometimes we just think of it as like a necessary evil or whatever. We just got to get through it to try to just like make ourselves have the shape that we want or have the health level that we want or whatever it is. But let's just talk about like, what if the uncomfortableness and the suffering part of dieting and the pain, what if that was actually a useful tool to achieve some other things for ourselves and develop some personal growth in the process? So that's what I'm going to talk about real quick. If we don't know each other, I am Jennifer Lucas Gibbs. I never used to be fit, but I've developed a pattern and a love for fitness, helping other women achieve. I'm a life coach. I do all kinds of things, former model. None of that matters. All that you care about is, can I help you with this dieting suffering thing? So please make note of See Yourself Beautiful is a movement. Oh gosh, hey, love live streaming, right? SeeYourselfBeautiful.com, on socials. That is my movement where I help you shift and change your identity so that these things are not hard. They become easy and a natural part of who you are and how you operate. And so this is an adventure in live streaming, my very first one ever. So welcome, friend. Like we're going to get through this together. But I do have valuable information for you. So let's just quickly go through. I have limited time. I'm sure you do too. So first of all, what's the first benefit of suffering because of a diet? Okay. Discomfort builds your brain. So if you want to be smarter and be able to do more things and build your brain, okay, it's going when it doesn't like the diet, like you're hungry, you're craving, you're like, I want to eat that and I don't feel like I can, it's not allowed or whatever. Discomfort builds your brain. Your brain is noticing something is different than the norm, than the status quo. And so it goes and it says, is it a threat to our survival? For example, if you had these lovely basic heels and they were hurting your foot, then your brain goes, is this a threat to our survival? Do we need to pay attention? Do we need to do something about it? And so then you would have ability to act to save your own life or whatever it is. The point is, as you evaluate a potential threat, your brain builds a new pathway, you learn and develop. So it's good for your brain to experience new sensations, including those associated with dieting and unpleasantness that's involved with that. What about resilience? If you never fall down, how do you know you can get back up, right? If you never suffer, how do you know that you can get through it? So building that ability and that confidence in yourself that you can get back up if something is tough or unexpected or kind of just comes at you hard, resilience is a key benefit. And that lets you get to see what you are made of, friend. And that's encouraging. You start to look in the mirror and be like, I am that tough. Okay. You get to observe the strength of your will. And sometimes we don't feel strong at all, but sometimes we can do something that's very small and build that belief in ourselves. And that's how this goes. As you see yourself, as you observe yourself doing things that are difficult, you start to create this idea in your mind, like, I can do hard things. Like I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I could resist that. I didn't know I could get all the way through the tough phase to get the benefit of where I'm trying to head, right? And then when you start to realize that, you begin to be like, hey, good job, girl. Like I didn't know I could do that. That's pretty amazing. I'm pretty proud of me. And it's this self-satisfaction and feeling of confidence, this boost in self-respect. And you're like, okay. Like I tend to do that a lot. I'm like, wow, I didn't know we could do that. That's very cool. And that's empowering. It makes you feel like queen for a day. I don't know. You're just like, yeah, if I could do that one hard thing, I bet I could do other hard things. I'm building my image of myself in my head, my self-image, right? And the more evidence that we can present to your subconscious mind, the more easy it becomes to just say, oh yeah, if I set out to do that, I'm going to do that. And that shapes who we think we are, and who we think we are determines what we think we can do and affect in our life and change in our life. Now, there is a little bit of stress associated with dieting. Like, it takes effort, right? To stay on track, to make a plan, first of all, to even figure out a plan, and then to be like, okay, I commit to this plan. That's tough, and there is a level of stress. Anytime that you depart from your natural norm, there's a level of stress, but not all stress is bad. Stress can be a way that we know that we are alive. I guess my picture's obstructing. A healthy amount of stress lets us know that we are alive. Yes, it's part of the challenge of life. If we have not enough variety, we get bored. If we have too much variety, we get stressed. Somewhere in the middle is like enough that where our brain is stimulated, we're able to expand, learn, grow, and experience all that there is in life. So a little bit of that is good. It's going to keep you on your toes, and it's going to allow you to experience contrast. So if there was no cold, we might not know how lovely it feels on a hot day to feel cold. We might not be able to appreciate that, and therefore the discomfort allows us to have something to appreciate in the fact that sometimes I don't feel discomfort, right? And so these are benefits. Can you see how some of these things associated with doing the hard things of dieting are actually, they can work in your favor. They can start to accumulate and build you into the kind of person that you want, but only if you can recognize and be aware of them, right? Discomfort can become an ally, a signal of good things happening. It's a byproduct of progress. Now, when I talk about emotions or things, I sometimes like to personify them. And so if we stick together much, you'll see that I like to personify. So like, imagine if discomfort was a gal pal, and you used to be like, I don't like her. She makes me uneasy. Like, I don't want to deal with it. But instead, if you're like, you know what? Whenever discomfort comes around, she only comes around when good things are happening. So I can tell if she's here, then okay, we're making progress. We're getting ahead. It's not for nothing. It's a pairing. The progress and the discomfort go together. And so when you see and experience discomfort, it's like, okay, all right, at least we can know that there is a benefit. There's an equal and opposite benefit to having the discomfort, right? And if you are in the gym, there's so many great lessons from the gym, and I really truly love a good workout, whether it's like cardio and you're like dancing your heart out and feeling so good, or if you're like lifting something heavy and you can just feel the circulation and the strength, and you just feel like, oh, you feel empowered, right? When you feel, if you've ever lifted a weight or done something challenging in your body at all, there's a point where you exhaust the easy fuel, and then it's like hard, and then it's like burning, and you're shaking, and you're like, and that is a signal that change is happening under the skin. And so even though we don't like it, a workout burn is a very good parallel for the discomfort of being on a diet, right? Like, it means good things are happening. Something is changing, something is moving, and we're going away from stuck where we were in a direction, presumably the one that you've identified and set out to get. So the burn means change is happening, and it's pretty exciting if you really think about that. Now, another way to consider this is there's a popular diet philosophy. It's sometimes associated with intermittent fasting. Delay, don't deny. You may have used this phrase before or heard of it. And it does work in the short term, but one reason I don't love that philosophy is because you're still battling. It's still a tug of war. We're gonna push off what we really want. Instead of denying ourselves, we're at least gonna buy ourselves an hour or two more of being good, and then we're finally gonna get the thing we actually want. Well, like I said, it does work short term. It does work as long as the willpower holds for the nutrition plan or whatever it is that you're doing. But at the same time, instead of making a battle that as soon as we let go of the rope, everything backslides, what we want to do is work together with ourselves so that instead of that battle, we're finding a better way to go about it. And I'll talk more about that in a sec. Discomfort will not kill you. The discomfort of dieting is not fatal, with asterisk as long as we're being healthy about it, right? And we always want to respect ourselves and live in that healthy place, but it's not going to break you. You can handle some things that you don't want. It's not ideal, but here's the thing: we can get through it. We can get through it. It's hard to get through it by yourself, but together, especially if you have other people helping you, holding your hand on the path, helping you stay accountable, we can get through that together. Now, here's another way to think about it. If you have discomfort when you're dieting, it's just a feeling. We have lots of feelings. We don't have to act on all of our feelings. We do need to manage them, and we need to be in charge of us. And if you're uncomfortable as you kick off your diet, it's just a feeling. It doesn't control you. You are the owner of that body. And as you learn to run it at a higher and higher level, it will not run you. Another way to think about it, just kind of like zen above it. Just look down and kind of observe yourself. Be curious. Like, isn't that so interesting that I'm feeling this feeling right now? That I'm just kind of like edgy and angry and moody because I can't have a cupcake? Like, literally a cupcake is determining my mood and my behavior and my life today? That's really weird if you just think about it. If, how about getting away from the emotional upheaval of being in the scenario of lack and scarcity and restriction and calorie counting and all those things? Like, what if we could just be curious about, isn't this interesting how this affects me, how food is affecting me, right? And we can ask questions that will create space for us to be able to have insights and learning and make a change in our behavior so that the space between stimulus and response, that's our free will, right? We know that from lots of research. We're not animals. As beautiful as they are, we can make choices. We can extend that space with our free will, and that's where it is very empowering. And in fact, as we master that, you'll see that pattern of excellence and that ability to handle things will spill over to other areas of your life. Excellence it'll be contagious in other parts of you as you learn to manage yourself. Your whole self benefits. And managing unpleasant feelings, it's life. It's going to happen. That stuff happens. It leads to better emotional management overall. And as you, my friend, lead out at a higher level of management of yourself, others around you will be affected and inspired by how calm you are, how put together you are, how in control of yourself and your life you are. This is a very, very big deal. And so don't miss the fact that if you're willing to sit in some suffering as you set out on your diet, your wellness, your health goal, it's gonna do a lot more than change the scale or your pant size. Okay. And in fact, along with it comes a whole new perspective. You're gonna see things from a level that you haven't before. You're gonna see yourself from a new perspective. You're going to gain empathy for others in the struggle and be able to reach out and lift and support them potentially. And as you find people that respect where you are and understand where you are, then there's potential for you to just like, this is the new normal. This is okay. It's not a struggle anymore. The suffering part goes away and the benefits stay. So let's talk about why the suffering of the diet. And there's lots of opinions on this, and I'm going to share to you mine, and I have a lovely little graphic to help you understand. I have a little bit of my own terminology as I teach and mentor women in diet and fitness. This is something that I found to be very key, and this diagram is really helpful to me in being able to quickly share it. So there we go. I will talk about first, like if we're at this top end here, your blood sugar, if you're having a normal amount of carbs, like the average everyday American does, like I think it's around 300 carbs a day, which is much more than your body probably really needs. Probably a lot of that is sugar based. And so your blood sugar, you're probably familiar with all this. You eat some sugar, it spikes up, and then you have the crash, and then you're like, oh, I'm starving, I'm moody, I'm craving, and then you eat some more, and you're just up and down like this. But when we feel best is when you're like full of sugar, right? And your blood sugar, and you have like lots of energy and everything, except for what doesn't feel good is when you're coming down, right? And we're like, oh, that feels terrible. That's what I call descent, as your blood sugar is coming down to what in these blue boxes represent is like a nice low baseline where you have sustained energy, and you have good thought, and you have low hunger. You'll forget to eat. You won't care that much about food, and an object in motion stays in motion, right? So if you're getting that cruising low blood sugar level that just feels really good, it's easy to stay there. It's hard to get there though, because to get there from normal, which is your blood sugar way up high, from normal, you have to go through descent to get to that cruising altitude. And it's no fun to go through descent. So when we start feeling that discomfort, then we're like, we'll go eat something that has some carbs or some stuff in it so that we cannot feel craving and moodiness. And gut bacteria are also working against you, because they're like, we're dying, we need more sugar. There's yeast, there's all these kinds of things that people, oh gosh, you're battling more than just, that's why it takes more than willpower to really do this long term, because there's so much going on. There's a lot in momentum against you when you're trying to make a change. So the best case scenario though is to be able to get through that descent as quickly and easily as possible, so you can arrive at the cruising altitude where there's hope and optimism. It's not hard. Your gut bacteria regulate, your habits regulate, you start to relax and just be, and you're like, it's so easy. Why was I stuck on this before? It was so hard before. But if you've never just been able to arrive at that cruising altitude, it will feel very distant, and it will feel hard, and it will feel far away. So what do we do about that? How do we get through the hard suffering part, which that's what I've called descent. I had to coin my own term, because I'm like, I don't think there's a term for the terrible, miserable part when you're going into the place where you can just be at ease, right? And by the way, it is worth it. It is temporary. And most people, women or men, do not persist long enough to arrive at the finish line and to attain that nice low cruising altitude of blood sugar. And so they never get to enjoy the benefits. And benefits there are. And when you get there, if it's been hard and miserable and painful to arrive at your goal for the size that you want, the weight that you want, the weight loss that you want, the result's even sweeter, because you're like, I earned this. I worked hard for it. I value it. Oh, thank goodness. But like I said, it's a broad reward. It's a nice speech, but you do have to take the road less traveled to get there, and be the one that is persistent. And no, discomfort, it's always the distance between where we are and what we want. All of your habits, all of your patterns, all of your status quo and your norm right now is perfectly set up to provide you the life that you have. And so if you're dissatisfied with the life or the state of the body that you have, or your health or fitness level, and you want to change it, we're going to have to do some stuff. So before we talk about what any of those things might be, I want you to just be able to enjoy the gift and be like, okay, so the hard part of dieting is just not a waste. There is something of value for me there. So let's receive that gift, right? Don't miss it. As long as you're on the path anyway, you might as well bend over and pick up the little gems, right? But can we do better? Can we get through it faster, easier, better, less times, instead of starting over and over and over and doing this? How many more diets are you going to be on for the rest of your life? Are you going to do this 20 more times, where you try to like set a plan, do a meal plan, do a meal prep, do an exercise regimen, hire a trainer, whatever the things are that you've tried? Like, how many more times are you going to start over? Or Could we approach it another way? And that's what I would advocate. That's what See Yourself Beautiful is all about, is building yourself to where it's easy and effortless to have the body that you feel like you should be walking around in. But let's face it, people do what they feel like doing. We all do what we feel like doing. There's tons of information out there online. There's tons of choices that we have. We know what to do. We may have that meal plan, but it's like when it gets to 5 o'clock and you're like, I don't feel like eating that, you just might pick something else. So how do we get the healthy stuff to be what we want to choose? How do we make that shift? Because healthy people that are habitually on track on their weight and not worrying about diets and habits and making big changes and doing programs and all those things, what do? It's not hard for them. It's automatic. How do we get it to be automatic for us, right? Well, that is a very good question, and a lot of it has to do with who you think you are and what you think is hard and easy. And so how do you get it to be easy? Well, that is what I have chosen to make my mission and purpose, to help others learn what I've learned about an identity where I see myself as an exerciser. I see myself as someone that makes healthy choices. It's not hard for me to do some of these healthy habits that are frankly intimidating or very foreign or uncomfortable for a lot of women that I coach, because I've caused myself to be that person. I wasn't always. I didn't get coordinated until my mid-30s. I didn't get good habits until my mid-30s, but I figured it out. And now in my mid-50s, I don't have to really think about it. I get to share with others how to do it. So if this is something that you would aspire to, I would encourage you, go to seeyourselfbeautiful.com, find us online, find us somewhere. We have a free Sisterhood community where we help and support each other. We're sharing ideas on how to eat, how to move, making friends along the way so we can all just hold hands, right? Like I talked about before, and do this together. Nobody has to go it alone. In fact, it will be hard and probably temporary if you do try to go it alone. So if you're tired of starting over and you're just like, I need some friends that are also on this track, so the norm can be us working together to go toward this goal and nobody's sabotaging me. I just need my journey to be easier. If that's you, I would encourage you to seek us out and find us. If you're not ready to do that, just keep on my channel. I will keep sharing nuggets with you. I will keep helping and supporting you in any way that I can. You can also look for the mindset pieces about changing how you see yourself on my YouTube channel, See Yourself Beautiful. And so, my friend, I'm glad we're connected. I hope this information is helpful. I trust it has been. Find the next step for you. And even if it's a click, even if it's just thinking about what you've already seen, make some progress. Allow space in your life for maintaining your body and your stewardship of your physical self to become easy and something you're proud of. All right, that is my message for you today. I'm Jennifer Lucas Gibbs. I love you. You are infinite. That is my message to you. I will see you next time.